Hello, I'm meteorologist Rob Carlmark here in Northern California, and I finally have some good news to share when it comes to the weather. I have to be honest with you, if you haven't been checking in on our local weather, it has been very hot for a very long time with few breaks, just a handful, literally a handful of days where we have normal weather or even below average temperatures. And of course, since this is such a big story, on this Friday, I've got your Park Fire update. In short, I'm expecting another very, very busy day. So let's go ahead and get right into it. What's been going on lately? Well, if you go back to Thursday here for Northern California, places like Sacramento, over 100 degrees, the Executive Airport, which is in a different part of town, right around 100, Stockton, Modesto, you get the idea. Not only has it been hot during the day, but the lows have been really warm in the morning as well. And Friday morning, it was also very warm just to start the day. So we loaded all this up in a calendar going back to essentially the very beginning of summer, and you could see a whole lot of red. Folks, this has been the longest, hottest summer in Sacramento history. Now, you could look at a couple of different records. The two that stick out to me are days at or above 110 degrees. We've had 5 of them. The previous record is 3. Remember, we still have August to go, and September can have some really hot days as well. So we're not even done with that potentially. The other one is that we've had the hottest 20-day stretch in Sacramento history where the average high was right around 103 degrees. That is incredible. And as you can see, even lately, it's been very hot. But guess what? We're finally going to load it up and start to put in some greens and blues in here, meaning average temperatures for this time of year or even below. I did the math on this, and essentially 85% of our summer so far for afternoon highs have been above average. As you can see, even well above average. Now, the only thing that can really save us from some of these hot days is on occasion we have the local microclimate called the Delta breeze. Basically wind coming over the Delta. The Delta is where the Sacramento and the San Joaquin rivers meet and then go out to the ocean. It's a region, but since it's coming from that direction, it's locally known as the Delta breeze. Now, taking this sideways, because the weather does work in 3 dimensions, we flip this over here. There's San Francisco, there's Sacramento, there's some of our lower foothill communities. What you have on a real hot day is you just have hot, stagnant air that's sinking and basically in place. Now, as it starts to change and you get what we call a pressure gradient, where you got lower pressure on one side and higher on the other, the wind starts to rush in. We know this at the source, San Francisco, even on a hot summer day where everybody else is hot, they almost always manage to stay cool because the ocean is cold. But what happens is that this thinner layer of cold ocean-cooled air starts to slide in, but it has a very difficult time going up in elevation and also spreading out north and south. So it's a very localized thing. It's dense air. Cold air is denser than warm air, so it tends to cool down some spots much more efficiently than others. So we've turned this on the side. The ocean temperature right outside of the Golden Gate Bridge is 60 degrees. It's cold. The ocean, the air blows over that cold ocean. It squeezes through a gap here, which speeds it up, and then it starts to spread out north and south. So what we look for are strong winds through Fairfield and Vacaville, and just to kind of see the extent of how it's going to go. Now, clearly, everybody's going to get an onshore wind later today, and a lot of south winds for the Park Fire, which I'll talk about at the very end of this. But the bottom line is this. It's strong today. It's going to be very efficient cooling us down, and it begins the cooling trend for everybody. Again, you'll see this reflected in the temperatures because for places that don't get this Delta breeze, it's still going to be hot today. Lots of 90s for the foothills, even some triple-digit potential. Then you see what I'm talking about. San Francisco, 65, 70 Oakland, still kind of hanging on to some heat, but also getting more influenced by that ocean breeze for Fairfield and Vacaville. And then, boom, you really start to see a departure in where we end up. For places that can get the Delta breeze, Davis, Sacramento, Elk Grove, mid-90s. For places that don't, or not as often, or maybe just a little bit too late today, Modesto, you're looking at 100 degrees. Again, you see it reflected once you get farther north or up in the foothills, much hotter than the valley floor and that connection all the way out to the ocean. So it's very interesting when it happens. It's going to happen tonight. It's really going to kick in through the weekend, along with a bigger pattern change because, folks, it's been very hot for a long time. High pressure has been in this spot that's just repeatedly given us triple-digit days. But what's going to happen is that it's going to move over. It's going to become a very big story in the Midwest. We are going to get this sagging here of the jet stream, which allows some cooler air just in general to affect our area through the weekend, a little bit into next week. But then this ridge of high pressure is going to build back in. We've got lots of heat for the whole country, including right here along the west coast yet once again. So that's our pattern shift. Just a momentary break in the action. Quite frankly, we need it. We love a dip on a weekend for temperatures, certainly in the middle of summer, and that's what we're going to get with highs in the 90s today, 80s through the weekend. It's been a very long time since we've had 2 days on a weekend in a row, but we're going to get it, and then you're going to see a slow rebound back to the normal heat of summer, which is right in here, and then above average again by the end of next week going into the weekend. Now, just a quick update since this is such a huge story and there's high interest, and we've been following it since the very beginning. This is Friday morning. You could see already we're looking at smoke, and brand new fire growth produces these really sharp contrasting smoke plumes, so it's very active early in the morning. Now, I talked about that delta breeze phenomenon. That's for lower elevation spots very close to Sacramento. This area is not affected by the delta breeze. It doesn't really benefit from that whatsoever, but because of this pattern change, we're going to get a lot more stronger winds coming in from the south. Then what you'll notice is that it's leaning over a little bit. Almost the entirety of this fire, which it hasn't been burning for very long, has been off to the north and then also off to the east. But this wind shift coming in, adding a little bit of this from east to west, now brings a whole bunch more terrain and communities that will be affected by smoke and potential fire growth in that direction. So the west side of the fire, that flank is certainly the one of most interest and most concern in the near term. Now, it's going to be burning on all fronts. It follows the terrain. It's just going to do what it's going to do, and it creates its own weather. But that's what we're focused on in the near term as we observe the Park Fire and what it does on this Friday going into the weekend. Amazingly, air quality, Chico's right to the south of this, has been hanging in there with good air quality. It's everything off to the north that's really poor. And for all the other spots down to the south, no major issues with air quality as of yet. Again, you're going to watch this shift happen right about there late into Friday and early Saturday morning. So we are expecting fire growth, a very explosive day yet once again. There is a red flag warning in this zone for hot, windy, and dry conditions. Again, it's not affected by that cooler ocean wind. It's just going to be straight up another hot, windy day, which is not good. A lot of growth to the north, some to the east, and now most concerning, there's some potential off to the west. So this is something we'll be watching through the weekend. This fire is not going away anytime soon.